Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about what is it to be masculine, what is it to be feminine. I'm going to really focus on what is it to be feminine, I guess, in this essay. But I've seen quite a few sort of articles ping-ponging around in the internet online that hadn't made much of an effort really to define what say feminine, being feminine is. The argument generally is that being feminine is now a vast spectrum of trans and LGBTQ plus and so on, that there is no longer the definition of feminine, or that maybe it doesn't even exist anymore. So it's gone from being sort of being quite prominent to not existing. So you've got like a black trans Down syndrome Barbie, for children to sort of explore the possibility of the infinite array and spectrum of other. I guess traditionally, the feminine has been the sort of the girly thing, and there's a lady who we know, and she's been, she'd be the epitome of girly. She's probably, I don't know, 5'3". She's in her like mid-70s now. 5'3", has always been sort of quite slim, and has this ability to turn on this almost simpering look, a winsome type, W-I-N-S-O-M-E, a winsome type smile, meaning sort of girly and innocent, or shucks and blushing, and she can just turn that on in a microsecond. And she's the epitome of sort of frail. I'm just a little girly, and I want a big strong man with a big hairy chest to make all the decisions and take the responsibility, and then I want to divorce him and get a free house. Yeah. So she's got this little girl, I want a big man to protect me. I'm just a helpless little girlie in a big wide world. Oh. And she pulls that sort of scam off to a T, and it's obviously worked for her. I mean, so now, how do you sort of define feminism in the sense, or being feminine rather, in the sense that this sort of lady was and has ruthlessly exploited it to become very rich? Now, given that she's not that bright and rather lazy, then she never would have made money on her own. She's not like particularly good looking either. I don't know how she managed to get these guys in, but she started off, she did like a 1-year course or a 6-month course or something to be a kindergarten minder. I don't think she's even a teacher, a kindergarten minder. So she sort of helps the teacher's assistant, I guess you'd call it today. So, and she works in a kindergarten for maybe a year. So she'd be 20, 21 or something. And she gets to work in a kindergarten in a very well-to-do area, one of the wealthiest postcodes in Australia, and gets married, meets some guy, gets married, and the relationship lasts for however long, gets divorced. She gets a free house and a car, a nice car, furnished house, stock portfolio, and sort of thing. And she successfully marries. She's had a 4th divorce now. I think it's 4th, and this is a while ago. And so she's got she scored 4 houses plus numerous other things like jewelry and motor vehicles and so on. Because she's married into money at every time, they've all had sort of stock portfolios, so she's got that. Now, she lives in one of the properties, the 4 properties, and rents out the others. So she's collecting something like these properties are in prime real estate areas. They're not like they're out in the sticks or something. So she's getting $10,000 to $12,000 a month in rent from each property, and there's 3 properties she's renting out. Now they've got, she's got on costs such as maintenance and that sort of stuff, but that's all tax deductible. So she's she's making quite a bit of money there. She's also got tax paid dividends paid on shares, and she's got a large stock portfolio. So her annual income is something in the region of $450,000 a year. She's got no debts, and again, she's got this quite large real estate and stock portfolio. So she's worth somewhere in the region of $15 million. Now, yet she plays this simpering little girly thing, and if you say anything to upset her, she's got this very, very rehearsed thing where she looks sort of terribly threatened. I'm just a little girly, and the hands start to shake, and she's got this simpering look, and her top lip quivers. And she's obviously it's well Academy Award winning stuff. She's clearly been doing this since childhood. And it obviously works well for her, and she can play the little victim. And we were having, there's a few of us there having lunch a while ago, and in a very nice place, overlooking the water and so on. And somebody mentioned, it might have been my wife, I think, actually mentioned Donald Trump's name, and and she straight away said that if Donald Trump's name, if the name was even mentioned, she would have to leave the house. She wasn't prepared to be in a house where his name was mentioned. And then she did the little thing with the quivering lip. I'm going to cry if you don't do what I want. I'm a little helpless little girlie. Now, when you sort of talk to her at other times, and she does this more if there's other women around, because she figures she's going to get a sympathetic audience. She indicates or gives some insight of how she ruthlessly planned and engaged in levels of conspiracy, in premeditated, in my view at least, to bag rich men with the sole purpose of divorcing them after 5 years or even years to get another free house. So that was her career, was targeting rich men, pretending she liked them or loved them or would be a loving, doting wife or whatever, pretending that. But in reality, it was a cold, hard calculation that she wanted a free house. She got one house. She one of the houses she sold, but apparently it was in a state of disrepair. So she then didn't marry this guy, but was dating him for a while. Dated this guy who was a builder, so that he renovated the whole house. I think she bought the materials, or most of them. But he renovated the whole house for her, and then she dumped him. He'd served his purpose. So she's willing to not only go after men with money, but go after men with certain skills to serve her purpose. And she talks about it with the little simpering girlie and the quivering lip sort of suddenly disappear, and you see a very cold, calculating stare come into her eyes as she describes, I outwitted them. I bagged them, I got them, I exploited them, I screwed them, I took what they had, and then I threw them out like a peel of a piece of fruit, and then I went on to the next guy and got that sort of thing. So, but she's in my view, the epitome of the feminine little girly, and she does it expertly. And and when we've been, she sometimes turns up to the the lunches and dinners with the crowd that we often hang out with, and she goes to the hairdresser like every fucking day. She's like, if you take her day is hairdressing, manicuring, pedicure, sort of the massage, the beautician, and so she doesn't do jack shit. And of course, she hasn't got vast sums of money to burn, I guess, in rich person's language, but when you got no debts and you've got a cash income of close to $40,000 a month, then you're doing pretty good. But as she describes her she lives, because of these rich guys, she's getting vast sums of money to spend, so she's living a lifestyle, million times more than you would get with a on a kindergarten helper's income. She couldn't have afforded a shoebox if she'd stayed doing that. But she talks about the the lavish lifestyle she lived, of lavish vacations and lavish houses, and then says, well, because I had that, I'm therefore entitled to it, and therefore I must have it for the rest of my life because well, just because. Now, of course, you can get the divorce courts to agree with you there, and the idea of divorce is that however much money he had, she contributed equally to it. Now, that's a blanket assumption. It just is so. If he made $1 million a year, then she made half of that, $500,000 a year. Whether she contributed or not, whether she was spendthrift, whether she was lazy, whether she's a moron, whether she lifted a finger, it's irrelevant. In the ideology of the divorce court system, she contributed half. And you see this sort of attitude, of course, has crept out in terms of compensation for race issues and climate issues, all sorts of things like that. This idea that the people that made the money and the people that created, the people that developed technology. So, but all the parasites, they somehow have contributed half. Whether they did or not, it's not material. Ideologically, it's predetermined. They contributed half, therefore they are entitled. Given that the West is wealthy and other countries are not. The reason the West is wealthy because of all the exploitation of black people. There's no other reason. Is it because of advanced technology? Is it because the West is industrially and politically and socially well organized? No, it's because of exploitation by fucking Nazis of the poor, oppressed black people. Now, this woman sort of takes, if you like, the same universal view. This idea of somebody mentioned Donald Trump's name and she suddenly goes into this quivering top lip and the little hands start to shake and I'm going to leave. I can't even be here with his name being mentioned. That sort of thing. People shouldn't put up with that, but that attitude, that behavior has served her very well. It's made her, this lazy, not a complete moron, but if her IQ's over 100, I'd be surprised. This lazy woman, indolent, has made her rich because of this. Now, you'd think in any other context, she'd be arrested and put in prison for, conspiracy to defraud or, those sorts of things. But that's kind of not how it works today. So what is the definition of feminism? To me, as I think of girly feminism, she is the absolute definition of that. The image she puts forward of the I'm just a little girl, you need a big man, and I'll be your doting, loyal, faithful wife, forever again. That sort of thing. That is the man coming in and saving the damsel, and that sort of stuff. That would be the image we have. But what is the definition of feminine today? Well, is there one? Are there so many definitions that we can't nail even one of them down? Is it you go girl? Is it affirmative action? Is it black lesbians as CEOs? And so on. So, but that sort of, if she was the loving, doting, faithful wife, and as in the genuine article, well, that's one thing. It's fine, but she never was that. She hid behind that image of I don't know, 1960s girly being feminine and dainty and so on. She hid behind that in order to conceal a ruthless effort, a ruthless desire and plan and scheme to defraud these men for as much money as she could get out of them. It must have been hard, as you're lying there in bed at night and he's all over you and jumping on you, and so it must be hard. You got to think, well, it doesn't matter, another year and I'll have that free house, or so, that sort of thing. But so I think about what do people define themselves as or pretend to define themselves as, but what is it actually concealing? is the big, the big butch dyke really that way, or is concealing something else? And given there's a lot of pressure, I guess, in through school and college and the media and so on for trans or LGBT, because how many people are actually representing how they truly feel, or do they even know what they want to be, or is there mass confusion? And in the midst of all this mass confusion, how can it help? How can it do anything other than destroy a society that's in free fall anyway? You've been with Tastus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.